Good evening, people of YouTube. Um, we're just popping off with the videos lately because, you know, Corona time. But this is another care video. I haven't done an isopod yet. Actually, I did not that long ago. I always say that I haven't done a video in a while, but I've been making a lot recently. This is a species that's not kept super duper often. Um, Not super popular in the hobby, just because they're small and they're mostly fossorial, pretty much entirely fossorial. You almost never find them not buried in the soil. But they are cool, and I think they have merit as I don't know if I would call them a dwarf species, but they are one of the smallest species that can roll up into a little ball. Um, Venezillo parvus. Venezillo parvus has a few different morphs in the hobby now. So there's the regular wild type, and within the wild type, there's a bunch of locales that all kind of look a little bit different. Venezillo are really cool for their, aberrant patterns and stuff, which I'll show to you in a second. So, but for Venezillo parvus specifically, there's, like I said, the wild type. There's uh, why am I blanking on it now? Dalmatian. There's Dalmatian. There's also a pied version, I believe, as well, which is kind of similar to Dalmatian, but like a little cleaner. And then there's the orange ones. Um, it's really hard to film these guys in their container, so what I did was I separated a few out into this little one, and I'll put the macro lens to it. Um, but first, I'll kind of explain their care a little bit. So, like I said, they're mostly buried. These guys were originally collected in Florida. They were isolated out by my friend James Parks. You may have recognized his name before. I've mentioned it on the channel before. He's the one who isolated out Brunosis Oreo crumbles. He just has really good luck with finding isopods, and he knows what he's doing, so he's able to prove them out, which is really cool. It's another nice new species. But inside the container is kind of my standard isopod mix. Um, I have rotting wood, various different types, mostly oak, in different you know, stages of decay. I have some moss in here, as you can see. There's a little bit of lichen covered pieces underneath here too. Mostly oak leaves, although I do have some poplar and elm leaves in here as well. That's a little piece of apple I gave them earlier. I give them apple and fish flakes, just a little bit because they're tiny. Do I ever see them eat it? No. Am I sure they even touch it? I'm not sure at all, but you know what? I give it to them anyways. And you might be wondering what this thing is. This is a big old chunk of limestone, globular limestone, that I collect from a lake fairly close to my home. So check out my last video on this stuff. It's really, really cool. Um, Limestone, I think, is a really good thing to have in a variety of invert, and not even just invert, like vertebrate animals. Really good source of calcium and good hiding spot for them. They'll even, as they eat away the calcium, they'll make little like crevices and extra burrows for themselves. It's really wild. But I guess we'll get on to looking at the actual isopod now. So what I'm going to do at the end of the video, I'll have some like really nice like photo shoot type photos that I did, so you can kind of get like the full scope of how they look. Because this is going to be a little bit jank because they are really tiny and kind of hard to film. But the pictures at the end will be really nice, and you'll get to see what they a good representation of them, at their best, like a justified, uh, that way I can kind of like show you what they really look like. Because even on camera, it's hard to capture their colors. So I'm going to put on the macro lens attachment, and we'll get right back in there. So here's one, kind of halfway curled up. They really are tiny. See if I can get, but they are beautiful. Let me see if I can suss out another one. They're kind of hard to, oh yeah, there we go. It is quite difficult to sequester them and find them. Unlike a lot of other isopods and roly-polies, when you, jeez, this thing won't stay still. Okay, here we go. Unlike a lot of isopods that when you disturb them, they'll kind of, move around, these guys, they tend to just freeze and roll up into a ball. And they're so small that, they kind of blend in with a lot of the leaf litter and other little particles and little tiny rocks and pebbles that are in the substrate. Because I do use, part of my substrate mix is compost from my own compost bin. So, it can be kind of hard to find them. See if I can push this guy a little bit so you can kind of see. But, they're really very cute little guys. Let me see if I can. Yeah. Where are you? There's one. I would like to get video of them like moving and like full course. Oh wait, here's one. Kind of. So you can kind of really see what they're all about. Like I said, I'll have really nice photos at the end that you guys can look at, but they've got a really cute little, almost like ducky faceplate. Kind of like the Kubaris do. It's not quite as accentuated, but it is there. Very cute. And kind of pretty much all of the Venezillo more or less share that in common. That and you'll be able to see it on the dorsal photos, like the more upright photos that I'm going to link at the end. But Venezillo have really nice, like, I almost want to say like cryptic, aberrant patterns. You can kind of see it on this guy a little bit, but it's a really trippy, nice, like oriental type patterning that you don't often see on isopods. They're just one color, and maybe they have some spots or others, but these guys, like, the really beautiful thing about them is not so much the color, which the color on these is really cool, but the patterns and like the little ripples and waves and chevrons that they sometimes have. And the patterns are a little bit different from individual to individual, and you'll get darker and lighter versions in this culture, with any other variation of any morph. Like even with my peach nasatum, I have a video of those. It's old as hell though. But even those vary from lighter to darker. They're all orange, have an orange base, but some are paler, peachier, others are more like sunset type color. Kind of depends. See if I can. I'm gonna try and get better video, but these guys just they freeze up. They don't really cooperate, and I'm not gonna force them. But I guess now is when I'll link pictures. So yeah, that pretty much concludes things. With these guys, the main important things are, your substrate having rich quality rotten wood and stuff. I just misted these, so it looks kind of wet. But you want to keep them not like sopping wet, and don't ever let them dry out either. Think they're from Florida, so think Florida type weather and rainfall. But yeah, I hope you guys like this, and maybe we'll give some attention to this species, as I think they're underrated. I think they're cute as hell, even though you don't really see them too much and they're small. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. More videos on the way.